after reading it line by line for me.
The RPA.
But you see
I
it,
keep up on the changes.
But you see it often enough. I don't see RPA often enough, Robert.
You're starting to. You're starting to. I can almost do it in my sleep.
I may be looking at one once a month.
That's good. You've been through a lot.
Yeah, that's all good. How's
And
everything with you?
It's good. There's always challenges. It's just you walk through them.
You know, I actually was reading something on Facebook, which I totally connected with, that, you know, in order to, you know, not, you know, be infected with this corona disease and all of that, we got to just have high vibration, high energy, high vibration, doing things that makes us happy, laugh, dance, you know, just connect with people that give you energy. That's what we need. It's the best immune system. So
100%.
You hit it spot on.
Attitude.
So that's why you see me always smiling and laughing, whether it's real or fake, we get to discover.
You see, Brandon never gets sick.
Hey, I drink a lot of water and kind of try and follow what Kathy's talking about. And I work out. That's important too, for my head, for the body.
Your kids all over the place. Two beautiful kids.
That's my workout. That's what I mean. I just run around until I hit my head against some piece of furniture.
Brandon has adorable kids. Adorable. I don't know how you got him to be so adorable. Did you adopt?
I think the mailman's been coming around a little too much. I mean, who would have thought I'd have a blonde, curly-haired, green-eyed kid? I mean, I'm half Asian. That's not supposed to happen.
That's a rare mutation.
Yeah.
The blue eyes.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't look like Robert.
I was about to say, it kind of looks like Robert's eyes.
No one looks like me.
Well, you have a Hapa kid.
I have 4.
Yeah, but your one kid now is half Asian.
Yes, he is.
Hapa.
Is that what Hapa is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He's just like you.
No, I'm a Hapa, but my 2 boys are Quapas because they're quarter Asian.
So is that a Vietnamese word?
I don't know. I just heard it enough times that I'll just use it now. No, I don't think so though. I think it's just kind of slang.
A lot of slang out there.
Yeah.
I've never heard it quite that way.
We'll wait another 2 minutes and then we'll get rolling. I know it always starts a little bit late, and we got some great things to share. So I'm pretty excited.
Joshua, we got to get your son on here and give some of his thumbs up.
I know, man.
The dude and the dad.
He's definitely full of high vibration.
He's got a killer smile, that kid.
Yeah. What? Say that again?
He's got a killer smile.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Got his mom's looks. That's a good thing. So Max never, the energy and the excitement are pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing what we can get from our kids, so. And then we've got some celebration here too. And hold on, okay. All right, we're gonna get started because I know we got a lot to cover, and I'm sure a lot of more people will jump on. So, I wanted to just go through. I always can't help myself but to put a little bit of a framework for achievement up on the screen, Alfredo, and I'll sort of just expand upon this a little bit. But this is just something, sort of a framework that I think about, and more importantly, I hope I use and apply in my life every day to, achieve at a higher level. I'm always about how do we maximize achievement? How do we really use our time most effectively, right? Time is our most precious asset. And this is a framework that I use, again, to enhance effectiveness and just work smarter? And how do we compress time? Because we all have the same amount of time. The question is, how do we use that time most effectively, right? And these three things, and I asked Alfredo to put this up literally 3 minutes ago, so that's why it doesn't like look all that aesthetically pleasing, but I think it conveys the message. Thank you, Alfredo. One is to eliminate, right? Eliminate all the extraneous distractions and focus on what matters most, right? And that always starts with, do you have a crystal clear purpose, and do you have a plan such that when you execute that plan, you will achieve that purpose, right? And the purpose is synonymous with a goal, right? And in that plan, as simple as can be, to simplify what are the key essential activities that must be done in order for me to achieve that goal, and be willing to say no to everything else, right? That whole ability and that to be decisive and to say, hey, this fits within the plan and this activity makes sense, or no, it doesn't, and I'm just gonna say no to it. And that often means saying no to certain people that aren't part of that plan either, right? So I think when you're clear on that purpose, you're clear on that plan, it allows you to eliminate, right? And narrow your focus to go big. You know, it's really the key to it all. And most of us tend to be people pleasers, and that's comes from a good place and usually a big heart. But if you really want to achieve at the highest levels, you've got to be willing to say no to the things that are just not going to allow you to progress toward that purpose and that goal. So eliminate. The second is automate, right? How do you systematize what you do in life? How do you systematize that process and that plan, right? How do you, and systems simply are like checklists that allow us to create efficiencies, that allow us to not have to duplicate effort, not to duplicate certain things, so we can create consistencies and efficiencies. And in our case, it's often technology, right? And particularly in our case, Command, right? We have this amazing platform that allows us to really automate and systematize our business if we're using it, right? All the tools, all the systems in the world are meaningless if you're not applying them on a regular basis. So we've got this great engine, we've got this great platform. I really, really encourage you guys to use it and automate your business, automate, your life, create routines, create systems. And the last is delegate, which is really about how do you create success through others, right? How do you, build a team? How do you create accountability? And that means different things to different people. But I think creating success with and through others is just essential if you want to achieve at the highest levels. And it's just a lot more fun. Funny enough, we're teaching, we've been promoting it. Paul is teaching a class called Career Visioning tomorrow and Friday. He developed a consolidated version of it. It's usually a full day, 2-day in-person class. It's being done tomorrow and Friday via Zoom for 3 hours from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's not too late to join. It's at a fraction of the normal cost. It's normally like $500 or something like that. It's $99. It's one of the best business building classes that Keller Williams teaches, but it really teaches you how to hire the right way. And it also helps you create a lot more self-awareness about your own behavioral profile. So Keller provides tools and systems for all these things, whether it's eliminate, automate, and delegate, or all three, which is the ideal. I really encourage you guys to plug in, engage, take advantage of all that we offer. And again, you'll live a bigger life. You'll work a lot smarter. You'll create a lot more effectiveness. Any comments? You can take that off the screen now. Any comments, any feedback?
I was going to say I've taken Career Visioning twice. It's deep. It's deeper than what you think if you haven't taken it before. And if you're hiring people, it tells you, hey, look, here's the A, B, C, D, E, F person you're about to hire, but B is the right person for that slot. And C is the correct person for this slot after they take the test and you go through the process. It's a long process. Even if you get half of it, you're going to be building a team much better than if you're just doing it by the seat of your pants.
Yep.
Josh, a question for you.
Sure.
If one signs up and only is able to attend tomorrow and not Friday, are these being taped anywhere that one can?
I've been asked that, and I'm gonna say yes and commit to that.
Okay. All right. Great.
It's a great question. Yeah. So I would, it's worth the price of admission and then some, believe me.
Okay. Where does one sign up again?
Alfredo will send out the link again.
Perfect. Thank you.
And Kathy, Alfredo, you heard that? You'll send
Yeah,
that
for
out?
everybody who wants to sign up as well, let me know. If not, it's on the top of the Facebook, so it's also there. I'll put it in the chat as well, or just email me and I'll let you know.
Thank
Anyone-
you.
It's not, you don't have to be ready to start a team. You don't have to, if it's even something you're remotely thinking about 3 years from now, it's got tremendous value, this class. And Paul is like taken 2 days worth of stuff and just packed it into, 6 hours.
Great. Thank you.
You got it. Any other questions or thoughts? All right. Michael, you ready to give us a little
Yeah.
broker?
Hey, how's everyone doing? So basically, I'm going to say it again, the TDS, there's a third box in the first section that needs to be filled out if you're the listing agent. Make sure your seller does it. I'm still checking TDSs from our office that is not does not have that third box or third section filled out in its entirety, and it's not complete. So please remember section 1. One of those 3 boxes have to be checked for it to be complete. A lot of people have been calling me asking for if a buyer cannot close escrow, and what do we do? And use the extension of time addendum if you need to. That extends, you could use it to extend the close of escrow. You could use it to extend contingencies, and you could also use it if you're extending any of those and the seller wants to charge. Let's say you're agreeing to extend escrow an extra 2 weeks or so, they could charge a per diem. You could put it on that, use that form to do it. But use just try to have buyers and sellers just work out an agreement between themselves. Usually things are getting worked out. Another thing that's come up this week is disclosures in HOAs. If you're in escrow with a condo and something material comes up that the seller is notified about an HOA, such as an increase in HOA fee, that's a material fact. You want to basically tell the buyer about it. If it's done during the disclosure time when the buyer has not removed any contingencies and the seller adds something to the TDS on anything, you're going to basically have another 5-day right of cancellation that the buyer could have. But anything material that comes up during escrow basically is the point. Disclose it. When in doubt, disclose. Right now there's a CAR webinar going on about evictions and what's allowed. So the eviction moratorium locally is still in effect through the end of September. I'm going to get the information that's being discussed now, and I'll post it on our website or the Keller Williams Facebook page, let everyone know what's going on there. And still no showings. Everyone that comes to a property has to sign no open houses. Everyone that comes to a property has to sign the PED form. That's still in effect. Just random things. If you have questions, email me or give me a call.
Cool. Thank you, Michael. All right. Just want to do a quick sort of market. First of all, I just want to say that things have been very robust. We had a really, really strong July. We'll share more detail about that 2 weeks from now when we have all the data from that month, because we just transmitted, so we don't have all that yet. But I can tell you it was a pretty stellar month, and that's a major congratulations to all of you guys who are out there hustling, making things happen, closing deals. So it's pretty awesome. It's very inspiring. I know things are more challenging than ever, but nevertheless, there's always a opportunity there for those that are in action and being purposeful. So great job there. I also want to say I did a social media post yesterday for the Real Trends Top 1,000. It's basically a combination of the top agents and teams in the nation, in the country. And we had 14 agents / teams from our office as part of that top 1,000, which I think is pretty remarkable, that all, 14 from one particular office. And my post had all of the forward living offices, but 14 of them came from Beverly Hills specifically. So I'm very proud of that, and all of you guys should be proud of that. And hopefully we'll have even more spots next year. As there are some people that newly joined us, including a couple on this now that perhaps would have been part of that if they were with us the whole time. I'm actually looking at one person in particular, Gary. You'll be there. You'll be there next year with us. And a couple others as well. So again, congratulations there. And then I want to congratulate our cappers. So Alfredo, in no particular order, if you want to put that up. And again, this is one of the things that really distinguishes Keller Williams, is that we get to keep 100% of our commission, if we achieve at a certain level. So it's a pretty awesome accomplishment, and keeping that 100% is pretty amazing. So first is Aviel. Aviel works with Jordan Petito. I think Jordan is on the line here. Congratulations to both of you guys. Then we have Ben Bellet, and I don't know if his cap is a different timing than Zach. Ben and Zach, amongst our top producers in the office. Ben Fisher, great job to Ben Fisher. Greg Silver, most of you guys know Greg pretty well, of MS Property Partners. Great job, Greg. There's Jordan, Aviel's partner. Great job, Jordan. I think you're on the call here. And Kobe and Ravit. I know Kobe is on the line, so let's give all these guys an amazing congratulations. And lastly, Tim Gavin. Great job to all of them. Hopefully we'll have several more next month. But I'm just really proud to have all these guys really achieving at a high level. Anything that any of them, Kobe, anything you want to put you on the spot here for a second, if you don't mind. Any good words of wisdom, besides obviously just hustling really hard, which I know you do. Tell us a little bit about how you're making that happen.
Wearing the mask. Wearing the mask and no shaking hands, That's kind of a weird to finish a transaction like this. But let me tell you something. I was, me and my wife were very lucky on one of the listings that was expired. And because COVID-19 and all the PID forms, it was so easy for me to send the seller all the list of the names. And in the last moment, after it was expired, I received an offer from someone that sold the house, and and I received the commission for that. So lucky me and my wife for the COVID-19 really help us in this case.
Yep. Always opportunity.
Yes. And except that, just like, we are running around trying to, it's very hard. The marketing is very tough for us. We're known for a door knocker. So I don't think we can still go and door knock and talk to people. That's really hard on us, but we're trying some different things, so we'll see. Waiting for the vaccine to show up.
Yeah, and adapting and pivoting along the way, because I think that's really the key to who's willing. I have a coach. My coaching calls are on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. and it's like always about who's willing to change. Who's willing to adapt and evolve, because our world always changes, and are we willing to adapt and evolve with it and continue to refine ourselves and become better? And some people a lot more than others, quite frankly, and now more than ever. And I know we hear it time and time again, but it truly is. I look at people and I say, one of the key points of distinction is, are you willing to change and adapt and evolve? And if you're not, so many people, naturally, we're creatures of habit. We want to stay doing the same things over and over again. We don't naturally enjoy change, but those that have conditioned themselves to be willing to change and adapt and evolve are always the ones that achieve at the highest levels and find the opportunities. So great job, Kobe.
Thank you so much. Also my wife.
Yes, and Ravit, of course.
Thank you, guys.
Jordan, I know you're on. Anything you want to share? I know you're hidden there, but I see your name. If not, that's okay. I don't know if anyone else. I don't think Greg's on. Is there anyone I'm missing that cap that was on there that I can't see? All right. Well, but again, great job to all of those guys. So, all right. I want to turn to a couple of our title people real quickly to give us a little bit of perspective as to what they're seeing more recently and what kind of trends that they're seeing that they think will be relevant for this group.
Yeah, there's just like you're talking about how great July was. Same thing in our world. As a matter of fact, we had 15% more transactions closed than June. So that's superb. And right now, the way the company and our industry is talking is we may finish this end of the year almost close to, if not the same as last year, which we know is a fantastic year. So despite everything that happened early on in March with that hockey rebound that we had, you know, things have definitely recovered well. And surprisingly, in that uber high-end world, you know, we know that the 2.5 and under is moving rapidly, but that 20 plus million, the 10 plus million world, if it's new construction and if it's very done right, those properties are selling to all cash buyers, and it's unbelievable. If there's one lesson to kind of make note of is with all the new construction out there, even if you have a buyer, just make sure that the other side, don't assume that they've done everything the right way as far as managing the transaction, recording their C of O, because we're seeing a lot of C of Os not issued in time. And in the title world, we don't pay attention to the certificate of occupancy as much as another more important document. So I'd like for you guys to try and remember this one. It's called a notice of completion. Okay, the notice of completion is the official recorded document which starts the mechanics lien period. So that's the period of time for which contractors, vendors, subcontractors can still file a lien on that property to collect the debt. So unless that's recorded, you know, title companies are going to ask for a lot of information from the seller. It can be very hair pulling and, you know, very frustrating for them. So a lot of them think C of O, and I'm fine. It's really notice completion is the most important part. Title companies can close without it, but it's just not as easy. So if you want your transaction to go right from the beginning, ask the question to the listing side. Have they recorded a notice of completion? That's probably the first question you want to ask them. And if you're representing them, whisper in their ear, I see you have a C of O, but we should definitely stay on top of recording the notice of completion. It'll save a lot of headache, but that's the property that is moving, as we're seeing in a lot of areas. So don't want you guys to have your transaction hampered as a result. So it's pretty much my tip for the day.
Thanks,
Thank
Brandon.
you.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Lauren, you ready?
Okay, all good stuff, all true and correct. And I can tell you from the First American side, we are moving on all cylinders, especially as you compare it to, of course, the April, May, and June was fantastic. As Josh, as you said, the July numbers aren't in, but we expect them to be very, very robust. We are still not where we were last year, but we're pretty damn close. So that's all, everything considered, that's pretty good. Again, considering, I think we had our summer early. This is normally the prime selling season, you know, June, July, August, and then the kids go back to school, and that's pretty much it. So we really had our summer early this year. I think things will start to taper off toward the end of the year, when people start focusing more on school, more toward the end of the fourth quarter. I think things will calm down a little bit. But guys, this is truly, truly a market of supply and demand. There is no demand. I'm sorry. Hello, Lauren. There's no supply. There's a ton of demand. There is, as you guys know, if you take a listing that's priced right and has no major flaw to it, it will sell. By the time you stick a pole in the ground, from the time this thing is closed, there's record low days of days on market. I mean, in LA County, all of LA County, we're in the low 30s days on market. That's insane. From the time you stick a sign in to the time you close the deal, in the low 30 days on market. So if your listings aren't selling, they're either overpriced or there's a major flaw on it. And I'm talking even the high end too. That's moving. So there are plenty of buyers out there in every price range. Of course, with the low interest rates, the under 2 million market is super, super on fire. But everything really is selling that's priced well and has no major flaw. I'm spending most of my time getting people ready to hit the market, so when they do stick that sign in front of the property. It's ready to go. So as Brandon said, you got to make sure that all the construction issues are finished, whether it be a certificate of occupancy, which again, as he said, title really doesn't care or look for a C of O, but we certainly care about work in progress. So if there's anything going on, title needs to make sure that everybody's been paid. And that is a major, major pain in the ass for the seller. So what we try to do is get out in front of that. We're asking, is there any work going on? Has there been any work going on? Oh, the work is finished? Great. Record your notice of completion. Start the timeline going where the subs and the general lose the right to lien the property. We're working through vesting issues. We're working through trust issues. We're working with overseas notaries that can't get to the consulate. We're working with everything under the sun to make sure that when your listing hits the market live, that you're ready to go. Do not fix any of these issues in escrow. These people have an interest rate that they want to hold on to. They have inspections that they paid for. The last thing you want is for someone to crap out of your listing because the seller can't deliver clean title. So we're working through a lot of issues before things hit the market. So things are really good. They're looking up, not quite where we were last year, but we're certainly, we pulled ourselves out of a big COVID hole, and things look really good. Let me give you some quickly, if you don't mind, Josh, some numbers from June, because I have that together. In Beverly Hills, there were 18 solds in June of this year, 32 June of 19. Bel Air, 9 sales in the month of June, 19 in June of 19. In Los Angeles, there's 563 sales in June. There were 798 in June of 19. West Hollywood, there were 15 in June, 21 in June of 19. So you see how things are coming back, but we just aren't where we were last year. Again, all things considered, things are looking up.
Good stuff. Thank you, Lauren. Any questions for these guys? All right. So, okay, we're going to move to the final segment here. So we have a special guest who I'm going to introduce right now. We are rolling out. I know we've had some sort of fits and starts with our former concierge program, but we've completely rebuilt it and aligned ourselves with another group who has a very strong track record of success with some of the other Keller Williams offices that we're a part of. I've spent quite a bit of time getting to know them personally, and Justin has been very, very involved, our marketing director, in really preparing to launch this the right way, with the right marketing collateral, with the right training and education, with the right messaging, so we can use this tool very effectively. So with that said, I want to introduce Isla Corcoran, I think, if I'm pronouncing that well. Yep. Again, Isla is basically our partner in this new venture called Renew, KWBH Renew, concierge services, and you're going to see some of the branding, and you've probably seen a little bit around that. So there's been a lot of time, effort, purposeful preparation to really get this off the ground and do it very successfully. I've asked Mary Beth, many of you know Mary Beth, an agent in our office, has been very involved in helping roll this out, along with many other things that we're doing. She's had some personal experience with this in her former brokerage, being Compass. And then a gentleman who I've also asked, who just joined us, who's an amazing guy who I've known for a while, Gary Watt, who also joined us from Compass and has used this extensively as he's built his business. So I've asked them to come on and share a little bit about their perspective on how to use this effectively. This will be the first step of an ongoing process to educate, inform, and allow you guys to really use this as a very great differentiating, distinguishing sort of tool that you can use to, build your business. And again, this is part of many things, including Keller Mortgage, that we're hosting a class on, I think, Thursday. So there's so many of these tools and systems that we have, but once again, if you're not using them, you're not knowledgeable in them, they're not effective. So the design is to create awareness and education, and then ultimately application. So with that said, Isla, thank you for being here. Really excited to be partnering with you in this venture. I'll let you sort of take it from here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Josh. And it's great to virtually meet everyone. If you don't mind, I'll share my screen now. As Josh mentioned, it's Isla, and I'm here to introduce this program to you all on behalf of the team here, the company I work for, who is your operational partner essentially in rolling out this service. I also have invited one of our lead designers on this call. His name is Tony Rita. He's joined in today to speak a little bit to our program and really what we're offering. And as Josh said, we've spent a lot of time really nailing down all the marketing, all the education around this program to make sure that this is something that's impactful and useful and all around differentiator that you have now as KW Beverly Hills office agents at this office. So this is an exclusive offering of KW Beverly Hills. This is the Renew program. And just a warning, I'm probably going to throw a lot at you right now, but I wanted to give you as much information as I can to really encourage you to show up to training on Thursday, where I'll do a deep dive on the program and ultimately use the service because that's our goal. So without further ado, I'll move through a couple things. I wanted to just give everyone a general definition of concierge as it relates to listings. We mentioned Compass Concierge, that name was thrown out, and this program is a different offering. It's Renew, but it's similar in that it's offering pre-sale home preparation services and deferred payment options. And really the way that we define this program is a tool to help your clients bridge the gap from where their home is to where it needs to be to perform better, whether that means selling faster and for top dollar, outperforming the others, or anything else. You know, we really want to provide a solution to clients, whether they need staging and packing, whether they need flooring and countertops, whether they need temporary housing, they want to gut the whole place, really whatever it is. Our program is designed to take a really bespoke, curated approach to yours and your clients' needs to make sure that they're met. This program is also rolling out some more products to include buyer solutions and a bridge loan product. But for the purposes of today's call and the training that we're doing on Thursday, I'll mainly spend a lot of time talking about how this program is useful for listings and how we can be really a beneficial tool to you to at least mention and introduce to your clients, if nothing else. And at this point, I also wanted to spend some time explaining really the platform is set up in order to offer these services. So I mentioned that we'll do anything, and I mean that. We want to really be able to provide any services that your client needs. And the reason that we can do this is because our platform is comprised of, one, of course, you all as the agents and your clients who we work with, but two, really critically, vendors in the local marketplaces in which you have listings. So we partner with the local vendors who complete the work. This means that if you have a painter, a stager, any vendor that you'd like to work with, we're happy to engage with them via the platform, via the program, as long as they're licensed and insured. And that's really the reason that we can offer such a wide variety of services. We're not limited to certain trades because we can partner with really any vendor in the local market that you'd like to engage with or that your client would like to engage with to offer any service that you can think of within the realm of pre-sale home improvements. We also partner with financial institutions, which will be more important for our forthcoming products. But really what I'll stress now is our vendor partnerships. If you have a vendor that you love to work with, if your client has a vendor that they'd love to work with, we're happy to engage with them. We always accept referrals. We have links online for them to apply, as well as if you ever submit a listing to us, we will ask you for that information and make sure that we're working with vendors that you like to work with, vendors that have a great reputation, and most importantly, perhaps vendors that are licensed and insured. And then on staff, we do have professional designers, as I mentioned, our senior designers on this call. We have project coordinators and training and marketing partners as well to really make sure that you have the support you need to know how to use the program, of course, and also that every listing that you have has the adequate support it needs to really take part in this program as well. And I thought it would be useful to invite Tony in to speak now because we've had quite a few success stories, fortunately, with this program as we've rolled it out across other Forward Living offices. And we have a couple that I figured we'd like to talk about and show you so that you can get an idea of some of the work that we've done. Now, this first example is actually in progress, but I figured it'd still be something we could talk about a little bit. Tony could talk through his perspective when he walks into a home so that you know really who you're engaging with and what our intentions and goals are when you engage with this program. Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Awesome. Well, this is Tony. He's our lead designer. Tony, if you don't mind, can you spend a little bit of time talking about this Roycroft project that we have going on and some of the details of this construction?
Absolutely. So this is a project that it's in Belmont Shores. I've worked with this agent before, and this property, as you can see, is rough, very rough. It was in a family trust, if I'm correct, and as is, if the agent was to put it on the market, he would maybe get lucky and get low sixes. So, because it's that bad. We've decided to do a full walkthrough of the property, call out everything that needed to be done. We are completely remodeling the whole house. It's a very charming 3-bedroom, 1-bath home. We're going to make it 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. We're adding a powder room. We're going to bring it back to its glory. We're going to make it feel like an old Spanish home that was originally built. The final price of construction will probably be around $120,000. But that being said, he'll be able to put it on the market for around 1.112. So the numbers make sense because this is a neighborhood with a lot of young buyers that want to walk into a finished product. So
Yeah.
It will be a complete transformation when it's done.
Yeah.
Numbers are pretty compelling. So.
Yeah, exactly. This is definitely a project that's going to be really impactful. And the reason we figured this would be a good one to talk about is actually mainly because other concierge programs, while they are offering, financing tools, this isn't something that's accessible at a Compass Concierge, especially not today because of the restrictions that have been placed on the program. So not to say that every project we do is $100,000 worth of work. It's absolutely not. We have clients, especially during this time, that have elected to call us for decontamination and decontamination alone. So we're willing to work within the realm of what you and your client are comfortable with and what's needed to get the home prepared. But it's really powerful to see how something that's so comprehensive can be accessible via this program, where otherwise they wouldn't have access to a designer like Tony who could walk into the space and really take ownership over this project and manage everything to make sure the client can get the return they want and the return they like. And Tony, if I'm not mistaken, the owner, it was not owner occupied, right? So the owner didn't live in the home and hasn't been to the home.
They had a nephew living there, and he's pretty much the one that destroyed the property. But it's also important to let you know, like Isla said, we can do very small jobs or very large jobs. And a project like something like Roycroft, when you have a true Spanish bungalow, the last thing you want to do is bastardize the property. You don't want to go in and do cheap finishes and make it feel like a developer came in and cleaned it up real quick and threw it on the market. What we decided to do here is be cost effective, but bring it back to what people want. Old Spanish tile, replicas of old Spanish tile floors that we're putting in the bathrooms, handcrafted backsplash tiles, things that will bring the buyer and go, oh, I love this old Spanish home. That's where, as designers, we have to step up and go, anybody can say, throw the cost-effective cheap carpet in and call it a day. We don't want to do that with a lot of properties. So we look at every property completely different, and we do what's the most important to get the most dollar per square foot.
Exactly, and that's a lot that comes with this Renew program. Whereas other programs, there's no dedicated designer, there's no project manager in place to handle something this comprehensive, or even just have a conversation with the client to explain to them, maybe you don't need to rip everything out, maybe we can paint and refresh. To have those kind of conversations with the client, sometimes it can be really difficult as an agent to take over the role of project manager, agent, all those details, designer, to really be that person for them. And via the KW Renew program, you no longer have to, and the client otherwise wouldn't have access to this, because as I mentioned before, a lot of other competing concierge programs have really restricted offerings, as well as limited resources, meaning no designers and no project coordinators that are going to take on the bulk of this work that we were able to handle for the client. And I also wanted to show another project that's still pretty comprehensive, but significantly less has been spent, and this is actually a completed project. And I think this is a really good example of being able to look at a home and see the option to do a lot of work and scale back a little, take a more cost-effective approach. This home went into contract in 5 days once it was listed. And it had previously been valued at $700,000, but following the work that was done, around $65,000 worth of work, the home sold for $820,000 really quickly. And you can see the before and afters on the screen. And if you notice, and Tony will speak to this a little bit more, things like cabinets and appliances remain the same in both pictures. Probably can't tell because it looks so much better in the after photos, but we were able to, Tony rather was able to walk into this home and help the client come to terms with preparing their home for sale, but also restricting some of the changes that could have been made really to help the client maximize their return rather than spend more. So Tony, if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about your approach on this project and some of your takeaways here.
So absolutely. So with this project, and this is a very common project, to where you might have a track home that was built 20 years ago, and you have the golden oak cabinets and the little white tile squares on the countertops, etc. A lot of designers would walk in and go, you have to gut the whole thing. Let's just rip it all out. And then the cost becomes astronomical. If you look at the before picture, that's exactly how it looked when I walked in the door. You couldn't even see the kitchen. And the agent was almost in tears, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to sell this property. So with a project like this, I left the original cabinets because there was nothing wrong with them. They were in perfect condition. We sprayed the kitchen cabinets. We put new countertops, new backsplash. We even used the existing appliances because they just happened to buy new appliances a year prior. And then we got rid of the old carpet, put vinyl plank flooring throughout the house. In the bathrooms, we kept the original vanities, but we sprayed them the same color gray as the kitchen. And you can see this is the master bath. Originally, it had the oak cabinets, and you had bad lighting and carpet in front of the shower. So we removed all that, did vinyl plank flooring. This is a very cost-effective way of making a ugly 20-year-old, 25-year-old bathroom look brand new. Every single person walked in and was like, oh, this is gorgeous. It looks beautiful. So like I said in the beginning, a lot of people would say, you need to rip the vanity out. You need to put new this, and you don't always have to do that. There are cost-effective ways of transforming it. And I always say with agents, sometimes it's better to get it 40% there as opposed to doing nothing. Because if you look at the before and after, if you were looking at both these photos on the MLS, which house would you buy?
I think that's pretty obvious.
Pretty obvious. So yeah,
very cool.
Yeah.
And again, I just got to reinforce the service dynamic and the expertise and the team that these guys bring to the table that serve you guys, and then the latitude that we have. And I'm sure Isla will get to this on what the scope of work is and what the options that you have are. There's tremendous latitude and flexibility in that you typically don't find in other programs.
Exactly. So really, I think this is a great example of really how impactful some minor renovations can be. We can't tell you the number of homes we've worked with that only elect to do some staging and light refreshing, which is totally fine. And oftentimes as well, clients become more open to making improvements to their home once they speak to someone that they know is knowledgeable, like Tony, can help guide them through this process, can be realistic with them. You know, maybe you don't want to live through 3 months of renovation. Maybe that doesn't make sense. Well, let's approach it with that in mind. And just keeping all things considered, and also giving the support that they need in order to come to terms with the fact that they're moving on from this home. What can we do to help maximize the appeal, broaden the amount of buyers that will be interested in the space, and really help you maximize that return above everything. So, you know, we've also had a lot of projects that have elected to do, you know, maybe go with staging and then change it to virtual because of everything that's been going on. And being able to just be flexible, that's something that we really pride ourselves in, and keeping the client's best interests at the forefront of our mind and of our concern to make sure that they're getting what they need out of this service above everything. And they're getting a return that is obviously really beneficial as well. So just going back over these 2 projects or any other that you think of, Tony, happy to have you chime in a little bit more if you can think of anything else you'd like to add. But otherwise, thanks so much for tuning in.
Actually, if I may, I want to let you know that when I walk a property, or any of our designers walk a property, it's very important that we make a list of what our recommendations are. We don't, as designers, we don't make extra money by getting you to do this and getting you to do that. We're just going to make our list of our recommendations. We'll send you a proposal of what we think needs to be done. And if you want to go through that proposal with your client and you say, yes, we want to do everything except line item 4, 5, and 6, we're more than happy to remove those and move forward. And we always try to make it as efficient for the agent and the homeowner. Like Isla mentioned, if we walk into a scenario, every agent would love a house to be perfect. But if we walk into a scenario where it's a family with 6 kids and 3 dogs, and the agent in their mind is like, the whole house has to be gutted, well, that might not be a realistic solution for the homeowners. So we try to be the medium and try to come up with something that will work for everybody. So we can get the house reinvented, redesigned, and then help the agent get more money for it.
Yeah.
Renewed.
And renewed, exactly. Those are all great points, Tony. I think that it's just important to keep in mind, and as we always do, every client is different, every listing is different, everyone has different needs, and so we know that, and we take that approach. Something that Tony mentioned that I just wanted to highlight and emphasize: this is a team of salaried designers and project coordinators, so they're not incentivized to tell you, let's do $100,000 worth of work versus $60,000, meaning they're not going to be paid differently either way. I go over this as well in the training presentation, and as well as a lot of the intricacies of dealing with us in the Renew program. But it's just important to note that we say that our incentives are aligned with yours, and we really mean that, and we carry that through the way our business model is set up and the way that our employees are compensated as well. So our goal is to walk into a home and make the right improvements that will help you and help your client rather than, you know, anything else. So again, Tony, I really appreciate all your insight and everything you've contributed. He's a great member of our team and obviously very knowledgeable, and we're both really excited to be working with you all.
Love it. Thank you, Tony.
Welcome.
So at this point, I figured I'd speak a little bit to the overview of the process before we move on, but I'm sure many of you are wondering, well, how does it actually work? A 5-step process: submit the listing online. And when I say you, I mean the agent. You will submit access to. So they can't call us and get this service unless you've submitted their listing. So it's really proprietary, and it's a tool for you to, of course, engage with your clients and ensure that they're committed to you. So you submit the listing, our design team will call you to discuss the details. In the meantime, between steps 1 and 2, we evaluate the equity in the home and do sort of a pre-approval. Once we talk to you, we set up next steps. And in some cases, you say, I need Tony to the property. We need some help determining what needs to be done. which is great. In some cases, you may say you know exactly what the home needs and this is kind of a rush job, so let's just get started. In those situations, that's fine too. We really take a curated approach. Once the scope has been determined, either via design consultation or just from talking with you, we then engage with the vendors to get the bids. So this includes, like I said before, yours or your client's preferred vendors. If you have any, we'll get bids from them and wrap them into a proposal that you and your client will then review. And this proposal is provided at no cost and with no obligation. So the client chooses not to move forward after step 4. This is essentially a complimentary service. If they do choose to move forward, of course, we hope they do. We assign a project coordinator to the project who oversees everything. Now, something to note.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to emphasize the fact that, you know, the proposal is complimentary. The client chooses not to move forward, they can keep this proposal to show to buyers. There's really a lot of incentive for them to at least engage with us and try it out because there's no obligation unless they move forward to step 5.
Yeah, that's a great point. Can you just quickly just talk about the equity piece and the financial latitude there and how that works? Because I know that's going to come up, and I know you'll delve into that more Thursday, but I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what that looks like.
Sure. So we look at the equity in the home as a means to pre-approve the client. We don't have a rule per se, because if you or your client says we need to do cleaning and cleaning only, then the equity becomes less important. It's likely they have equity to pay for that. But we do look at the equity in order to make sure that there's sufficient equity to pay for closing costs, of course, to pay you, as well as to pay for any services to be potentially rendered via the program. That's something that takes place in the pre-approval. Then if the client chooses to move forward, so going all the way to step 4, if they do choose to move forward, we do a soft credit pull. And this is a chance for us to ensure they're not in bankruptcy or foreclosure, because we cannot work with a client that's in bankruptcy or foreclosure, and we need to make sure as well that we verify their identity. So there's no soft credit pull at all unless they choose to move forward. Once they do choose to move forward, we do that soft credit pull, which isn't a hard inquiry and doesn't affect their ability to pre-qualify for a new property, but it's just something we have to do to make sure we know who we're dealing with. And that's essentially our pre-approval. Of course, if a client wants to pay upon completion, then that part becomes less important. But if they are electing to do pay at close, we just need to take a look at their equity and verify their financial standing in some regards.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course. And then I'll briefly talk about our contract with the client, just because I'm sure there's some questions there as to what happens if the home doesn't sell and so on. So once a client chooses to move forward, they sign a contract directly with us, and we are not a party to your listing agreement, just like you are not a party to our agreement with the client, but they are coterminous, meaning that if the client cancels on you, they cannot maintain their contract with us. They can't take us with them to a new agent, to a new brokerage. These contracts are essentially married. So this is really a retention tool as well for you all as agents to verify that your client is committed to you, and in some cases a leverage tool. If the term is coming to an end and you would like to get it extended, you can kind of use it as a tool to get, in some cases, a price reduction or obviously a listing extension. We will wait up to 12 months after the project is completed to be paid. So once the project is done, essentially they have 12 months. Of course, the term is tied to your listing agreement, so it's a chance for you to relist and get that extension in order for us to push it to 12 months. Hopefully that's clear. Essentially, these contracts are coterminous.
Big point. Yep.
Yeah, definitely super important to know that training a little bit well. I talk about kind of positioning this and some of the ways that we think that could best be done. I really encourage you to come so that you can get an idea of really how to introduce this. Once you know about this program, hopefully you're excited about it. Hopefully you think it's great. But the next step is, how do I bring it up to a client without maybe offending them, or how do I best introduce it and touch on all the key points? So it's kind of a general outline of what I talk about in training, basically encouraging you not to promise a specific budget, return, or timeline, but rather using that CMA to identify the client's home presently and then some potential comps for an improved version of their home, choosing some homes that reflect pretty much where their home could be if they make improvements, and then introducing the Renew program as a means to bridge the gap between where their home presently is and where it could be. And usually by doing that, by identifying an as-is value range and a potential value range, you can introduce this program and provide for them a means to bridge that gap with no money due up front. And I know we have some other people on that have joined in that want to chime in as well. So I'm happy to pass it along to them if they have anything they'd like to add. And I'll put up our side-by-side comparison.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn it over in no particular order. Maybe we'll let Mary Beth speak first, ladies first. Mary Beth and Gary, who have been pretty involved in helping us get to this point. Mary Beth, any thoughts or comments that you'd like to share with the group? If she's still there.
Oh.
You're on mute.
I think you're muted.
Oh, hi. Now can you hear me and see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I wanted to point out two things. Isla and Tony, if I'm correct, amazing. This is so great. I did want to just piggyback one thing off what Tony said and what Isla said as well. When we do present this or make any kind of initial comments to, our potential listing clients, a lot of times, of course, because this is an emotional process, they'll always think that their house is the most beautiful house, and a way to kind of work with that, and acknowledging that is just softly reminding them that when we do put a house on the market, we should kind of heighten its beauty and make it more of a neutral canvas for potential buyers. And so that idea of just renewing the space into a more neutral canvas to attract more buyers is a really, it can be a useful talking point to prospects. And also, yes, the service is something I've used before. It's so helpful, just really quick, just to share, if you're wondering how it's been brought up in the past at listing appointments, great, your house is beautiful, and keywords are, we'd love to keep your house, competitive and help it sell fast for more, right? Selling fast and for more are two very attractive, concepts that sellers like. And so with that saying, they're going to say, how do you do that? Well, we have an amazing service called KWBH Renew, where we will bring your home to the next level, and they're like, well, I don't have the money for that. Not a problem. We'll front the cost for you. We'll tell you more details about that, but you can pay for the services rendered, at closing. And so I just wanted to share that input with you, just, if anyone was wondering, how do you maneuver the conversation?
Great stuff. Yep. Gary, any, because I know you've used this a lot. What are your words of wisdom for us, please?
Yeah, I think this is a great program. I've used it through Compass Concierge as well, and I've used it to win a lot of listings, not just with sellers, but also with investors as well, offering this money to kind of leverage their rehab and even fixer-uppers that they're looking at. So I think it's a really great tool to use. One of the things that I'd be looking for is some of the marketing material that maybe you guys could provide, so we can just basically easily package it and then just send it over to our clients to go over with them, or even use some sort of slides to go over with them. Compass had a lot of material for that, and a lot of advertisement already preset for that, so that you could do that. So that was really easy. I had a question about the equity still in that sense. With the equity for how much they can borrow, my question is, let's say they have $1 million house, they have $600,000 in equity in the house. Is it clear that they can borrow up to that 600, or like close to that 600 minus closing costs and everything like that?
Yeah, so really depends what they're looking for. As I mentioned, we are rolling out bridge loan product, and if that's something that would be of interest of them, tapping into 70% of their equity, That is currently our threshold, but more details for that are forthcoming. That's an option for them to have cash. If they just want to engage in the program and have us manage everything as a concierge program, managing the services and paying for them, there is no limit to the amount that they can use or the amount of services that can be done, as long as, exactly like you said, they have the equity to pay for anything to be paid at closing. So they want to do a really substantial renovation. We don't have a limit. There's no $100,000, $200,000 cutoff. It's based solely on the equity in their home and also, what services will yield a return. So we're going to encourage them to stay within services that will help the home to perform, but there's no rules or limitations that kind of guide that. It's really based on the client's needs in the home and the equity.
Okay. And then also another question is, if they wanted to, there's two types of concierges for Compass, at least. One where they got a credit card and they could just use the credit card towards vendors or certified contractors, licensed contractors. And the second way is to have it where they just got a cash out, basically directly deposited in their bank account. How are those funds distributed within, or how are the funds distributed, basically?
Yeah, so we're very aware of kind of the business model of some of the other programs, to include a Compass, and the ways in which they've distributed the funds. I know it varies as well, market to market across the country, and I believe, as you mentioned, those are two of the major ways in which they distribute. They also do have a track record of paying vendors upfront in most cases as well, and distributing the funds as an upfront payment for any services to be rendered. And we do not follow any of those protocols. So instead, we engage with the vendors directly and manage everything and pay them upon completion. So the payment is all managed by us. We negotiate costs with the vendors and negotiate payment with the vendors as well. And then the proposal that the client sees outlines all of the costs, and they pay that at close. So they're not involved in the actual payment process or in any of the distribution of funds, unless of course they're taking a bridge loan route in which funds would be dispersed directly to them. Mainly for this concierge renew, we manage everything. We pay the vendors directly. The agent and client are not involved in the invoicing or payment for any services, but other than the one payment at close.
Okay, so from my understanding, what you're saying is that if I find a, let's say a flooring guy, and I said, this is the vendor I want to use for the flooring, then you guys would call them directly and say, and negotiate a price for that flooring. We would see a bill in which would come to us in that sense. Well, would be paid to the money that we're being used, basically. And then they would agree, and the seller would agree, the vendor would agree, you would agree, and then it would be paid out and the work would be done. Is that how it works?
Essentially, yes. So we'll take vendor referrals from you, and we'll engage with them, get the bids, and present them into a proposal that you and the client.
Launched. I have a client that wants to use it today, actually.
Well, we have a solution. So we have a up and running listing submission form listed on the screen. It's available now, as well as the marketing is available now. Justin spent a ton of time. He's done an amazing job.
Anxious about that. Justin's going to show you some marketing materials in 2 minutes.
Yes, I will end my sharing, but I just wanted to show you all the link to submit, which will also be available to you following this, of course. Contact, email, and phone numbers as well. There is an available on-demand training that you can access immediately. We also have the live training on Thursday, in which I'll be here taking a similar kind of time to talk about this program, but in some more detail, answering any questions you have, and we'll be able to get started with any of your clients as soon as now if you have them. So I can add this link in the chat as well, but I'll stop sharing so that Justin can.
And Alfredo and Justin will have all this information as well.
Yep, yeah. Exactly.
Actually, thank you, Isla. Thank you so much. And to Gary and to Tony, thank you guys for joining us today. And hi, everyone. I just wanted to jump in. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Going off of what Isla was just talking about with the process, We do have, I just put in the chat, I actually linked, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I linked some of the things I'm going to show you here in a folder. It's a Dropbox folder. It's got several items in there to include the Renew logos that that we've worked on, that Josh and I and Isla and Mary Beth as well. Like a lot of people contributed into what that looks like. So you've got the logos in that
All credit
Dropbox.
to Justin and Mary Beth. Go ahead.
And then also, I've got a few other things. So speaking to what Isla was just talking about, the process and the links and everything, I literally just did this as she was wrapping up her presentation. But you have this in the Dropbox, this folder, or sorry, this flyer with actual hot links here. So the videos about the process, you can click here, goes right to the site to watch those videos. Training videos, click there. Your submission form, you can click this, it goes right to the submission form as well. That's going to be in the Dropbox that I've linked in the chat. And that obviously this is just for the agents. This is agent facing. I do have a few other items. This is ready to go in the Dropbox currently. This is a social media banner. Just to go ahead and take this, put it up on your social media, take it and run with it. If you, let's see, I'm going to jump next into the list. This is the big one, the listing presentation inserts. You've got a few pages here. Now this obviously is your client facing stuff. So this is what you would be putting into your listing presentation to explain what Renew is, how it works, show some examples of some of their past case studies here. Again, how it works, details of how it works, and it just goes into full detail. You've got a few pages here to really sharpen your client's knowledge of how this will work and how it can help them to sell their home for more money and more quickly. So this is just a few of the items that we have in that folder so far. I think, Isla, if I could, I might grab your slides from today and throw those in there as well. And then if you guys have requests, feel free to throw them at me. We're going to be adding to this library, but this is what we have in there so far.
Hey, Isla, I have a question. What about accountability? So we're going on our reputation referring you guys, and it sounds awesome. But I personally just did a remodel in our house. We redid our kids' bathroom, and the contractor originally said 3 weeks, and the project manager is supposed to be at our house every day supervising the project. The guy showed up once a week. The workers made some mistakes. The project went from 3 weeks to 8 weeks. So we're going on our reputation. If construction never goes the way it's supposed to, there's always hiccups. So, since we have the reputation, we have the referral with our clients, they're going to be blaming us and looking at us, getting pissed off at us. So how if you guys manage it, how is that going to be handled if there's any hiccups?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple ways in which really we can ensure that clients have the information they need and that this program, each project, has the attention to detail that it needs. To be clear, we know that construction is one of those industries where things happen all the time. Of course, some things excusable, some things not. Our goal is to, regardless, be there. So where other concierge programs may not have the resources you need to fall back on if something does go wrong, you know that you have us to call in that situation. So one thing is having the resources, having a project coordinator, having a designer where you wouldn't otherwise. But two, also really relying on referrals that come from you and your client. So if your client calls us and says, or you submit a listing and say, my client really wants to do paint and they're really concerned about how it's gonna go, and we have a painter, but I don't know if they know you. Well, at that point, we get your painter's information. We verify their license and insurance. In some cases, if a vendor doesn't have insurance, we help them get it, really to make sure that we're working with partners that you have a relationship with. So it's another way in which we try to go above and beyond prioritizing a client's happiness, because oftentimes they're happier if they're working with someone they know. Of course, let's say we're not working with the vendor they know, wrong. Well, we make sure that every vendor is insured so that if we do need to take certain course of action to remedy an issue, we will. We also can throw a vendor off our platform, quite frankly, if something goes wrong. The reason that we manage everything is so that we can hold accountability when we need to. There's been times where we've replaced vendors where we've, had a vendor go back and do the work to the standard they promised. And that's something that we have the power to do when we pay them upon completion and when we provide a source of business to them. When vendors have done 5 projects with us, most times they don't want to ruin the relationship with us, knowing that we're a source of business for them they otherwise wouldn't have. So a lot of it is really just the way our business model is set up. Can't protect against every issue. Tony, if you'd like to chime in as well and some problem solving that you've had to do, I'm happy to pass the mic.
Absolutely. And like he mentioned, that's a great question. Everybody that's ever dealt with construction, it's never a smooth transition. And the agent and the homeowner also has to be realistic. If I have agents come to me all the time that say, I want the kitchen completely gutted and I want the whole house painted, but I want to put this on the market in 6 days. That's not realistic. So we got to look at the scope of work and how everything can fall into place so that anxiety doesn't happen. So when I walk a property or a designer walks a property with the agent, if the agent says to me right out the gate, I want to put this property on the market within a month, then we're going to put in the scope of work things that can be done within a month, because we don't want it to go longer than that. And if it does, and they absolutely want to do that stuff, then we'll let them know. This is a 6-week to 8-week project, just so there's no surprises. That contractor is always involved, always translates all information to the lead designer on the project of what's going on. Most agents don't want to be involved. They're like, I just want to sell real estate to keep me out of it. We'll keep on it and we'll give you the information when you ask for it. Or if the agent chooses to be 100% involved, we can share information on a weekly basis. So most of the designers will go check on projects. We'll make sure everything's going accordingly. We'll make sure that we don't just go pick vinyl floors or paint colors. We always get things approved. If the homeowner is a designer and they want to be involved in every single aspect of it, we'll involve them. Another thing that's important for a lot of agents is we don't mind being the bad guy. We don't mind going in and gingerly letting them know that we're trying to make their house look as good as possible to put it on the market. And if someone, like today's environment, working from home, living there and working there, we have a project going on in Los Angeles where they were living, working there, and they have 3 dogs. We have to make sure that every single room we work in, we let them know prior, you're going to be without a kitchen for 3 days. You're going to be without your bathroom next week. So that way there's no surprises at all. We try to guide it and make sure everything goes as smooth as possible. And we will fix anything and adjust it to make sure that you guys are happy.
Great question.
Thanks.
Any more questions? Well, hopefully you're all excited about the program. I'm really happy that I was able to spend some time today talking to you all about it. Again, I can leave some of these links in the chat. They're all available to you. But really the goal is to get engaged with you and your clients and make this a valuable tool that you can bring to the table. Like I said before, whether your client chooses to use it or not, the fact that you can introduce this as a tool already levels the playing field or puts you a cut above the rest in a lot of situations. And of course, the proposal is provided free of charge. So there's really no reason why a lot of times clients don't want to try it out. So I encourage you to let them know the same, and hopefully we'll be hearing from you all soon.
Yeah, I just want to thank all of you guys. A great presentation. I'm really excited to be working with you guys and really, again, use this as a tremendous tool and asset, guys. A lot of times it's just about presenting this. Even if the client never uses it, it's a great tool for you guys to get listings and build your business and create more options for your clients. At the end of the day, it's about value is often just presenting an option that one may never exercise, but at least they have that option there for them. So it's a process. You're going to get more informed, plug in, use it, practice it. Like everything takes practice, the scripts around it. We'll be doing more education and stuff in collaboration on how to use this effectively. So this is just the beginning, but I really think it's going to be a great, a great tool for all of you guys to use and help grow your businesses. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Isla, Tony, Justin, Mary Beth, Gary, the whole group, Austin, and the
Yes,
ALC.
thanks, everyone.
And, onward and upward. Appreciate all of you guys.
Don't forget the training is on Thursday at noon.
Thursday at noon. All right. Have a
Thank you.
fantastic day, guys. Make it happen. Take care.